Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas everyone! Santa here to present his top 10 anime to watch during Christmas! Ho ho ho! No, I'm gonna stop doing that voice. I have a feeling like a lot of people heard that voice and clicked off the video right away and went, no, I'm not watching this crap. No, don't do that, please. Listen, this is my voice. You hear my voice right now. It's Aaron. It's not Santa. And I hope you guys enjoy this top 10 list I have. Let me kind of set some ground rules like always. This is like, my own personal list. A lot of these anime are not solely centered around Christmas. Some might only be centered around winter. And the reason I did that is because there's not really a lot of anime out there that just deals solely with Christmas. And the ones that do are a lot of usual harems and romance comedies. And I don't want to do the whole list being that. So what I did was I figured I would throw in some anime of different types. You gotta have a little bit of everything here. I looked at my list. It's very different from everyone's top 10 and top 20 type list for anime for Christmas. I have a little bit of action, a little bit of drama, a little bit of romance, harems here and there, everything I got on this list. But overall, though, again, it's not solely centered around Christmas. It has something to do with other things too as well. But I will explain why each one's on the list, like why I think it fits so well with Christmas and why it fits so with the Christmas spirit. All right, let's start off though. Let's get this out of the way with my first video or my first image of 5 centimeters per second. I couldn't even say the name for a second, even though it's on screen. Yeah, actually, when I edit these videos, by the way, guys, just kind of like a little behind the scenes. Even though the images all show, while I'm talking, they're not in my front view. Like I can only see what's on the screen right now, which is just a blank screen. Like I see I know the images are there, but all I see is a blank screen. It makes it a little hard sometimes when I do top 10s, but yeah. Anyways, so 5 centimeters per second, I think fits the bill so well with Christmas because I think of the winter setting in the one particular part of the story. It's if you haven't seen my review of it, I'll give you a quick rundown. 5 centimeters per second. It's kind of a romance slash slice of life show or movie, excuse me. That it just shows people growing up and people, not always getting what exactly they want in life. Sometimes relationships not becoming the things that are usually always happening in movies and anime in general. Sometimes romances fall flat just like real life, and this show really does a really good job with that. But in particular, one of the scenes that I think really is fitting for this was one of the winter scenes in the very beginning of the show, or the beginning. I keep saying show, it's a movie, but in the beginning of the movie, you get what I mean. In the beginning of the movie, the winter scene is when he's trying to go see his quote unquote friend, who isn't his girlfriend yet, but it's his friend, and she lives very far away, and he's just braving the winter to get to her, just to kind of see her and talk to her again and really just connect with her. And I think that's one of the things about Christmas that really fits. It's sometimes that we have hard, trouble sometimes getting to the places we want to go. Like we have to struggle sometimes. Like especially if you have family far away, you have to then take flight out. You have to take flights out. Excuse me. You have to drive long distances to get to them. And but if you really love these people, you're willing to do that. Even if it's just this one day of the year, you want to do that because you want to see the people that you love that you haven't seen in a long time. And I think that's really fitting for the show. I think it's the overcoming that trial to deal with it, and sometimes, hey, listen, you might be on kind of shaky terms with some of your family or friends or whatever, but hey, Christmas is beautiful. If you go to your family and friends' house and you enjoy time, you don't think about that stuff. You just think of the moment of being happy and being celebrous, of the day. I think that's what I find 5 centimeters per second, even though the rest of the story is kind of, here and there with the drama elements. I think that scene is perfect for Christmas. So definitely check watching that out. Check my review if you want more information on it though. Next would be Gundam Endless Waltz. Now I know people are like, wait, why Gundam's on here? Why is Gundam on here? Now listen, Gundam's on here because Gundam to me is really cool. I think Endless Waltz is the anime movie. This is the only other movie I have on this list. But what it does so well, per se, is that it does take place during Christmas, and it just shows some kind of chaos during the Christmas scene. It shows the having to fight during Christmas, and even though everyone else is celebrating, trying to get gifts for one another, you have giant robots in space fighting it out to kind of just keep the battles alive and keep the war against the human race essentially, null and void. There's more. I'm not really doing a good job explaining it, but I don't want to spoil everything because Endless Waltz takes place after the Gundam Wing series, and it does spoil a lot. But I gotta keep it to a point where it's minimal spoilers. So that's why it sounds like that. Listen, there's actual reason behind my madness when it comes to reviewing we're talking about something sometimes when I don't review it. I will be reviewing Endless Waltz eventually, though. But the reason I think it fits during Christmas is, yeah, again, the behind the scenes stuff. It's Christmas is crazy and chaotic, and sometimes you don't see what's going on around you, and it's plain as day. Sometimes it's obvious if you just look up and go, oh wow, this is other people are doing the same thing I'm doing, or other people are really struggling. I think that's what is cool about Endless Waltz when you take it in that nature, in that context. But anyways, it's a stretch. I know it's a stretch, but I think it's fitting. It really does fit for the show. Anyways, next off is White Album 2. Now, White Album 2 is something I saw way back when, so I'm being honest with you, I forgot a lot about it. And it's very rare for me to forget a lot about anime, but it does happen. I do remember the story plotline for it, though, was the whole romance element and, just kind of having to do with Christmas as a main crutch of the show. But, I meant to say crux, not like crutch, like, actual crutch, like crux. But anyways, White Album 2 I think fits really well with Christmas. It's just, sometimes you really do meet those loves of your life during Christmas. I've heard plenty of stories that people have gotten married or people have gotten into relationships on Christmas Day. Trust me, I've had a few of my friends say, hey, listen, I met my girlfriend, the one of my dreams, on Christmas Day. And that's cool, I think. That's something great. That's really loving. And this show is kind of like that, where there's a lot of romance building up toward the Christmas Day scene. And I think that's why it's on my list, is just because of that romance element. Alright, next off is Kanon, which I love Kanon. I think it's really a great show in general. The reason why it's on this list for Christmas is not because it actually has anything to do with Christmas. This is another show like 5 centimeters per second, that it has nothing to do per se with Christmas. It has something to do with winter, though, and the winter imagery, as another YouTuber said a long while ago, is probably the greatest strength of the show. Now, quote unquote, this show is kind of depressing at times. It has a lot of, depressing moments, but also at the same time, though, it has a lot of romance and a lot of touching moments, and I think that fits so well with Christmas, don't you think? Those moments of just pure bliss and pure joy sometimes aren't always, easily gained, or even sometimes not obvious. Sometimes you are dealing with stuff, but at the same time, Christmas is a day where you forget about all that crap. You forget about this and that, and you try to remember, hey, this is a beautiful day. This is, even if you're not religious, I am religious. This is the birth of Jesus Christ. I know right away. I said birth of Jesus Christ. I know I'm gonna have a whole bunch of people go, well, it's not the typical day he was actually born. I know that. Trust me. I've done my research with that in the past and such, because I am religious by nature. It might not be the actual official day, guys, but the meaning behind it is there. It's just like anything else. Just because it might not be the official date, it's the meaning behind it. It's the birth. But even besides that, even if you're not religious, even if you take this in more of a context of just a holiday, touching moments happen and sad moments happen during this holiday. While you might be dealing with stuff outside of your realm of control, hey, it happens, but this day is meant to be joyous. This day is meant to kind of go, hey, listen, stop. I'm not going to worry about this or that. I want to worry about being happy today. And I think Kanon is perfect for that, because even despite a lot of stuff happening to our main characters in the show, there's a lot of romance that builds up. There's a lot of touching moments that really hit the, heart really strongly. And I love Kanon for that reason. I think it's really good to watch during Christmas. So definitely check it out. And again, this is also another show I reviewed on my channel, so definitely check out that review if you need more information on it. I'm not trying to advertise my videos, I swear to you. I'm just saying that because if you guys do see an anime you haven't seen on my list, or if you're new to my channel, hey, listen, I've done reviews on a lot of these. I'll tell you which ones I've done on them or not. Now, one I haven't done one on a review by itself is The Melancholy of Harumi Suzumiya, the disappearance of Harumi. Now, this is actually by itself an own arc, so this is probably the closest thing to, I want to say, anything Christmas related to the show. I really do. But one thing I really loved about the disappearance of Harumi, this particular arc in general, was the fact that it deals so much with having to realize, what do you want in your life? And I think that's kind of fitting for Christmas sometimes. Like, you may not think you want this or that, but on this day, it's like, wait, you know what? I don't care about that. I want this or that to happen. I want this particular person in my life, or I want this to go this way today. You think about stuff like that. I mean, that's how I think of a lot of things when it comes to, Christmas in general. But I really dig The Melancholy of Harumi Suzumiya, the disappearance of Harumi, because I think it was a really fun little arc that they had, where even though the main character Kion, I'm not going to spoil too much by saying this, but even though the main character Kion has been dealing with, thinking, I hate this kind of chaotic world he's been put into all of a sudden with dealing with Harumi as the main character, he then thinks back when she's gone and realizes she's gone. You know, what world do I miss that world. I want that world back, and I think that's really touching. I think this show really does a good job of conveying touching feelings during Christmas. So that's why it's on this list. Next off, we're gonna look at Toradora. Now, Toradora only has one Christmas episode, and the rest is not even winter. I mean, like, there's some scenes in the winter, but for the most part, it's not all winter. But here's the thing, though: the scenes in the one winter episode are the best of the show, in my opinion. I'm not gonna spoil it because I really don't want to spoil it if you have never seen it. But there are the most touching scenes because a lot of the romances of the show get solidified during the winter moments of the show. And the reason I have it on this list is I just think that this show in general is a good kind of uplifting show. It's kind of funny. There's no really kind of actual reason why it's Christmas related. You know, by the way, there's just gonna be very similar with another one of these shows coming up in like 2 seconds, but it has no real reason to be on here other than it has that winter element to it and that Christmas episode that really just cohere everything together and put it together so nicely. I really dig this show. You'll dig it if you've never seen it. Definitely check it out. Next up is Nadesico, which also doesn't have very much to do with Christmas. It only has 1 episode around Christmas, but I love Nadesico. That's the only reason it's on here. Nadesico is a great like mecha type show, almost like some of the Gundam Wing in many ways in terms of the mecha concepts, but the actual story is very comedy based. It doesn't really try to go too serious in the world. The movie does get very serious, but the show in general doesn't do too much serious stuff. It has a really nice upbeat tone. I think that's good, if you want something fun to watch during Christmas. I have this on this list though for that Christmas episode because I remember it being so funny where, even though the war was going on and they're trying to deal with all the war stuff that they're dealing with, they just stop and go, hey, listen, today it's a holiday. We're not going to deal with that crap. And like if you work a lot or if you have to deal with school stuff, whatever, don't you think that's true? I mean, yeah, that's probably, realistically, guess what? You put everything aside on Christmas Day if you really care about Christmas or you care about your family to just go, hey, today is a relaxing day. I'm just going to get gifts, drink eggnog, relax with the family and friends, whatever you do. Relax by yourself if that's what you like. Guess what? It's Christmas. I'm not doing anything today. That's why I think this show is so awesome for that reason. That one episode really is, I think, benefactor to think of it. Like, actually make you think about stuff like that. All right, next off is Clannad After Story. Now, I'm not saying not watch Clannad, because Clannad is the first part of the Clan After Story is the second part. But I say After Story because it has the amazing Christmas episode where you see one of the characters get drunk and she's never got drunk before. It's just so funny. Like, I remember I still love that scene because it's so comic filled, but it's also kind of just touching because it shows that, it's a family that just got to being, essentially, if that makes any sense. This family is brand new to one another, and now they're celebrating their first Christmas together. I think it's really touching. And that might be relatable to a lot of you. You might have just gotten married this year, or you might have just gotten into a relationship with someone, and this might be your first Christmas. Clannad After Story, I think, fits that mold pretty well in the thoughts of, hey, you know what? This is how it feels like to be the first time. It's a little awkward here and there, but at the same time, it's fun. You forget about all the awkward stuff after you've either had a few beers or you're, just getting caught up in the atmosphere of everything. And I really dig that. I think the show's great for that. All right, next one is Amagi SS. Now, Amagi SS actually is probably the quintessential Christmas episode on this whole list of my anime. I kid you not. This is probably the one that makes the most sense out of everything here. Like, if you think this whole thing, I've been kind of stretching things by saying certain things of how they link to Christmas, that may or may not be true. But Amagi SS actually has to deal with Christmas very much because the main character gets his heart broken during Christmas, and it kind of leads to his, different romances with these different girls throughout the series. And again, Amagi SS, if you guys don't know, is a anime that's not around one girl. It's more so different arcs, like what if scenarios. So he get with one girl one arc, and then he gets with another girl a different arc. So it's not a harem. I know it looks like a harem, but it's not a harem. It's like a what if scenario type show. But I just think the show is fun to watch during Christmas because all these romances, they have their ups and downs, but you have to realize that, hey, even though he had a horrible romance in the beginning because of the Christmas scenario that happens to him, it led to bigger and better things, that led to the greener pastures, to put it really cliched. And I think that show really is cool for that. Now, for the last one, this is stretching it. I mean, this one I just thought was funny. but I think it's very touching at the same time, realistic. I mean, I'm stretching it, but Sword Art Online Season 1, like the first 13 episodes, I'm going to say. This is going to be a spoiler. I have to do the spoiler to explain why this image is there. So, at this point of Sword Art, Kirito has lost a lot of things in this episode. Like, it's showing him losing the people that he cared about for the first time in the show, because they were a guild that got killed off during I don't want to say a raid, but I want to say like a mission went bad. And what he's doing is then he's, on Christmas Day celebrating by himself, dealing with the losses rather than being with other people, because he's still at this point they're still trapped in the game. And he actually ends up fighting a crazy Santa Claus. I love like the retrospect of how absurd that is, like that image. Look at it. That if I saw Santa look like that, I'd be scared of my mind. You imagine showing a kid that for the first time. This is what Santa looks like. They'd be flipping out. They'd be crying. They're going crazy. But yeah. But the reason why I think it fits during Christmas is sometimes, you do forget that people do lose things during Christmas, and I know a lot of people have lost loved ones and family ones during Christmas, and it's hard. It's something hard to deal with. But at the same time, you got to take the beauty that you have the memories of them, and you have those memories of sharing those Christmas with them, keeping you strong, keeping you alive. And that's one thing I know for some people it's harder to understand, but I think that's the beauty of Christmas, in honest truth, in my opinion at least. I'm gonna end this video on a high note. Christmas for me has always been a holiday that, besides the religious meaning, which is very important to realize, the meaning behind it has always been giving and gifting. I know it sounds kind of ironic, right? Like, well, how can you have those two? Isn't that a hypocrisy? No, it's you give to your family and friends, you get love back. That's regardless. I know people say it's not about getting; it's about giving. But think about it. When you do something well for someone else, you do something nice and kind for someone else. Doesn't that leave you with a great feeling? It leaves you with that feeling of, wow, I did something good for someone, or I got something so rewarding out of that. Seeing someone smile, when they open that present, open that gift, or knowing that maybe you sent something to someone, and maybe seeing a smile on a kid's face, or seeing a smile on someone's face for the first time, that's beautiful. That to me is something that you can't mimic on any other holiday. I don't care if you like Halloween more, I don't care if you like Valentine's Day more. Christmas to me always will have this meaning behind it of just a happy and beautiful day that I think no matter what, guys and girls, I know this, I don't want to end this per se like this, but no matter what, guys, I want to tell you this right now, never lose the meaning of Christmas. I know certain things, you might realize certain things, like Santa, about Santa. I'm not going to say, in case I do have any younger people watching this, I don't think they are, but, you have to remember that you were a kid once. I'm 25 years old, and I still think about the days I was a kid. I still think about 5 years old or 6 years old. I was a kid once. If you're 40 years old, if you're 35, if you're 50, 60, whatever you were a kid one time before. And that's why I love this holiday, because that means you celebrated this. It might not have gone the way you wanted to. It might have been a horrible day for you, or it might have been... But I know a lot of people that have had a horrible Christmases that made sure that when they got older, they gave their children or their families better Christmases to kind of forgive the past, and to kind of forget that. And that's what this day is about. This day is about Christmas. This day about happiness and joy, birth, life, everything. This is why I love Christmas. This is why I still consider Christmas to this day to be my favorite holiday, no matter what. Like, I love my birthday. I know people hate their birthdays, but I love my birthday. But Christmas will always be, I think, just the day that I no matter how old I get, I feel like a little kid. I wake up in the morning, I go, hey, Merry Christmas to my mom and dad. I run under the tree, I go see what we got. I already know what I'm getting, because, hey, listen, I'm old enough that I tell my parents what I wanted to get for Christmas, or what I want. But opening it for the first time and seeing what it is, and seeing that you got it, or not even just that, even if you didn't get any presents that year, even if you're just with your parents or your family, hey, that's beautiful too, because guess what? That's another year you with your family. That's another gift in itself, that moment of being with your family. But yeah, I'm gonna end this video on that, because I don't want to go too. I went a little bit too, I don't want to say pastorous, but where I started preaching a little bit too much with that. But I want to say, guys, Merry Christmas to all of you. I love all of you. I hope to God that He blesses all of you. I really do. I think that this day is awesome, and I just can't convey that enough. I'm trying to, but I really can't. But yeah, guys, have a great Christmas. to you, your friends, and your family. Everyone, bye.